Hey friends, thanks for watching. This is Mike, that helpful dad, with another hopefully helpful tip about watching streaming TV online. Today we're talking again about Netflix, and today we're going to talk about my 10 recommendations for the best Netflix original series that you can stream. Now, before we get started, a couple of housekeeping notes here. These are just basically Netflix TV shows, not movies. We have other videos about the best Netflix movies. I encourage you to watch that. I'll put a link in the video description. These are also not all the best TV shows you could watch on Netflix. For example, like Breaking Bad or The Office or Friends, because those aren't made by Netflix. These are Netflix original, in other words, made by Netflix series, okay? And then they're in no particular order, but I am going to save my favorite for the 10th one here. You can probably guess what it is as we go through the list. And I'm actually going to give you more than 10 because there's a bunch of new shows that are coming out now and I want to recommend to you. And also, I want to point out too that I'm just an average Joe. I don't know everything. I just like watching TV just like you. If there's something I get wrong in this video, please put a correction in the comment section. Or if there's a show that I missed that you really like, or you've seen one of these new shows, by all means, please let me know about that in the comment section. And then finally, who I am. This is me, Mike, that helpful dad. You'll find me on YouTube and also on the website, thathelpfuldad.com. I give lots of practical solutions, and one of the genres I talk about is cord cutting, so you can see some of the articles that I write about. It's all free. We even have a step-by-step guide on how to watch TV online. You can get all this on my website. But that's not what you came here for today. Today you came to learn about the 10 best Netflix original series, and let's get started to them. Now, I'm not going to talk about Orange is the New Black or House of Cards, probably the two most popular and well-known Netflix shows, because I'm assuming you already know about those. If you don't know those shows and you like political dramas, then you might want to check out House of Cards. You've got 6 seasons there. It's an Emmy winner. Initially had Kevin Spacey until he had some of his problems, but it's still going on now. Really a powerful political drama about, what's the inner workings of Washington and rising to power. And then, of course, Orange is the New Black. If you liked Oz, if you remember that show from years ago, which I think was an HBO show, this is kind of like the women's prison show. It's kind of a dark comedy, but there's also some more powerful things there as well too. So those would be the 2 shows that you would start with if you don't know anything about Netflix and are brand new. But I want to give you my list here. So these are some of the shows we're going to be talking about here. We're actually going to probably talk about all of them, but I'm going to give you my top 10 list. And here's what I would start with if you were new to Netflix and you had already known about or were not interested in Orange is the New Black or House of Cards. Ozark stars Jason Bateman and Laura Linney, and the gist of it here is Jason Bateman is a financial accountant or financial advisor / accountant who gets caught up in laundering money for the Mexican drug cartels. And so basically he moves his family from Chicago to Missouri in the Ozarks and is trying to kind of live under the radar while he smuggles or launders all this money. It's fascinating. Season 1 is one of the best seasons you probably can binge watch of any of these online shows. It really holds up well. Season 2 was pretty good, and season 3 is coming out. You probably, even by the time you watch this, you'll be able to watch season 3 as well too. So that's the first show I would start with. From there, I'd also like to recommend to you Narcos. So Narcos has 3 seasons. There's actually 2 Narcos and Narcos Mexico. The first Narcos, it tells the story of 2 DEA agents from the U.S. who are pursuing Pablo Escobar in season 1. What's interesting twist here is not only do we get the point of view of the DEA agents, but we also see what's happening with Pablo. And I'm not necessarily going to say that you necessarily root for Pablo, but you do see some of the good that he does. And it is, kind of a sad story that he used his mind for bad purposes, I guess. But it's a really good season 1. And then season 2 follows another group of Colombian cartel agents. And what's interesting here is you get 2 seasons of those guys, and then from there you move into Mexican Narcos. Mexican Narcos is kind of like the Colombian Narcos are the big guys, and the Mexican Narcos, they start out with, it follows the story of 2 brothers and a DEA agent, Agent Camara, who's trying to capture them, and they're first growing pot, but then they get into becoming distributors for the Colombian cartel, so you can see kind of the crossover there, and there's even some character crossover as well, too. Michael Peña's character is the main Mexican drug lord, and you got 1 season of that with another season on the way, so that's Narcos and Narcos Mexico. Okay, next we're going to go to totally different here, and this is 13 Reasons Why. 2 seasons of this so far, and then we got a third season on the way. I honestly think everybody who is a parent should be watching this show if you've got, soon to be high school kids or high school kids. This is very popular with teenagers, but my wife and I watched it. It tells the story of a teenager called Hannah Baker who, because of basically a social media mishap, it ends up, ruining her life, and ultimately she commits suicide. And then she leaves a series of audio tapes, 13 tapes, that tell the 13 reasons why she took her own life. And Dylan Minette's character is kind of like the main character that you're following along. It really keeps you guessing. I mean, I didn't know what the heck was going on in season 1. I thought Dylan's character was even dead, and he was like, didn't know he was dead or something. But that's not the case, so I didn't give you a spoiler alert right there. But great first couple seasons, and I'm looking forward to the third season as well too. But it's very powerful, and certainly, be one that you would dialogue with your kids about. Okay, let's switch gears here and let's go to a sci-fi one. Black Mirror. So this has got 4 seasons so far. It's a sci-fi anthology. And what that means is it's not one story all the way through all 4 seasons. It's a series of vignettes, but they all are related in the sense that there's some sort of scientific innovation or, ominous futuristic thing, and it follows that particular story for one episode or more. So you want to make sure that you check that out as well too. Next, we've got another different one here. Okay, so this is the podcast turned into a Netflix series called Making a Murder. I believe this is one of the most downloaded podcasts of all time. And it also now has footage from over 13 years. And it follows the story of basically kind of a whodunit. This guy who was convicted and maybe shouldn't have been convicted. That's kind of up to you to kind of figure out. But I know my wife actually loved this one, and she binge watched this one very quickly, and also loved the podcast as well too. Now, if you like true crime type stories, here's one that you probably don't know about. And let me see if I can find it here. Here it is on the bottom. Manhunt the Unibomber. Now, it's only 1 season, but what this is the story of the Unibomber, Ted Kaczynski. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to follow along Sam Worthington's character. He's the the FBI agent who was responsible for tracking him down. Nobody could find Ted Kaczynski, the Unibomber, but Sam Worthington's character, basically, he is a real life character, and he had like ADHD, adult ADHD or Asperger's, and he used that ability to hyper focus to be able to crack kind of the code that allowed them to eventually capture Ted Kaczynski. Now, what's interesting about this story is you also get kind of the perspective of Ted Kaczynski, and you realize what a real genius this guy was. And it's a real shame that he used his wonderful, beautiful mind for, nefarious purposes, because maybe he would have been something really great in the world if he hadn't turned to the dark side, so to speak. But it's kind of a sad story as well, too, really on all sides. And we really enjoyed this. Only 1 season. You can get through that one pretty quickly, but a really good show. Okay, the next one is one that my wife recommends here, and that is Bloodline. This is 3 seasons. It is the complete series. We lost that one there. It's the complete series in 3 seasons. And basically, I believe it's set in like the panhandle of Florida. It stars Kyle Chandler, most famous from Friday Night Lights, among other things. And he's kind of like, the black sheep of the family. Sissy Spacek's in it as well, too. And there's all these kind of dark secrets of the past that you got to wade through and see if they can kind of come together, so to speak. So it's a drama, dark, suspenseful. And again, my wife really enjoyed this one, so she wanted to make sure I recommend it. Okay, next is an English one, and that is, where is it? The Crown. Here it is. Okay, so this is basically the story of, I believe this is an Emmy Award winner as well, too. So it stars Claire Foy and John Lithgow, and it's the story of how Queen Elizabeth II came to power, so to speak. And so if you like kind of those English type stories and the political period pieces, then you're going to think you're going to really like The Crown as well, too. Okay. Now I want to give you a kids show. We can't have any top 10 lists without something for the family as well, too. So if you like the movie Boss Baby, I think you're really going to enjoy the 2 seasons of Boss Baby Back in Business. I have a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old. This is a very clever, witty show, and I've enjoyed watching this series with them. So if you've got kids, and again, you like the Boss Baby movie, I think you'll like the Boss Baby Back in Business series as well, too. So out of this top 10 list, which is the one from the list that I didn't mention? Well, I think you probably figured it out by now, and that is, of course, Stranger Things. If you have not seen Stranger Things, this would be a great one if you're interested in like 1980s nostalgia or sci-fi or, kind of government conspiracies. It has all these things. So it follows a group of 4 kids. One of them goes missing, and you got to kind of figure out why that is. So you've got, 1980s, like I said, references. You got Dungeons and Dragons in there. You've got government conspiracies. You've got alien theories. All these things are coming into play. It's got 2 seasons so far, and the 3rd season comes out July 4th, 2019. I'll be watching. I'd hope that you will as well too. It's ominous, it's scary, it's got everything you want. There's a reason why all these t-shirts have popped up at Walmart and Target and all these sayings. It's because Stranger Things is a fantastic show. Okay, so that's my top 10 list, but I also wanted to give you some more, and I also like your opinion as well too. There's a couple other ones I want to point out to you. So if you like the teenage shows and you were into that 13 Reasons Why, then you might also like On My Block. 2 seasons so far here. This is kind of a vignette piece of 4 characters, teenagers that are in, inner city challenges within Los Angeles and kind of their friendships along the way. So that's one that I would point out to you there. Also on that same line is another one I'm excited about, and that is The Umbrella Academy. Did we miss it here? Here it is. Okay, so this is very interesting. It's got a lot going on here. You've got some elements of comics in here. You've got teenage angst, but basically 43 women over a decade or so ago gave birth the next day, and they didn't even know they were pregnant. And this guy comes along and collects all their babies. And then we fast forward to the present day, and there's like 6 of them who are able to get together after their quote unquote father dies. And they have to, kind of uncover, what are the family secrets, what's going on here. And of course, there's different kind of powers involved, as you can see right here. And there's also, kind of conflict as well too. And so I'm really excited about this one. I hope it develops. It's already been so successful in season 1 that another season is on the way. Then also on that list, if you liked, I guess I would relate this to the Twilight series. If you like the Twilight series, you may be interested in this one called The Order. It's basically teenage werewolves and kind of conspiracy theories as this kid goes to college. So again, this one has 1 season so far. Another one is coming out next year. If you've seen this one, I'd love to get your feedback on that. I have not seen it yet, but it is on my list. Let's move also to a couple documentaries. If you liked Making of a Murder or that Unibomber I recommended, you're going to want to probably watch. This is a very sad story, but it's the disappearance of Madeleine McCann. Only 1 season, but it takes a look at the disappearance of a 3-year-old girl, Madeleine McCann, who vanished while on vacation with her family. And you kind of figure out, kind of who done it, sort of thing. And it's really unfortunate in terms of what happened to her. But I know that my wife binge watched that one pretty quickly. Also, if you remember the story of Ted Bundy, these are the actual audio tapes and archival footage from the reporter who interviewed him on death row. And so if you were interested in that story, the serial killer Ted Bundy, this might appeal to you as well, too. I liked the Unibomber series better than this one, but some people like this as well, too. If you're into dramas, you might like this new series called Russian Doll. It's kind of a dark comedy. Basically, this girl keeps dying and reliving her 36th birthday party, and she kind of try to figure out why that is. Next, we have, let's see here. Also have another one on my list. I haven't seen it yet, but it looks very interesting, called You. It's an obsessed person who's obsessed with a writer and kind of forces his way into her life. So it's kind of like a psychological thriller. Next, also on the list, is The Haunting of Hill House. This is kind of like a drama and horror series. And you've got this family who moves into this haunted house, essentially. It's been successful in season 1, so already renewed for season 2 coming out next year. If you like cooking shows, we haven't got into this genre yet, but I wanted to point a couple of these out to you. The show Final Table here, it's a global cooking competition, and it's very fascinating. It goes all around the world. It's a very fast-paced, fast-moving show. So that's a kind of reality TV, but based on cooking. And the other one I like, I enjoyed the book Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. It's a cookbook with Samin Nasrat. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but she is fantastic and really teaching you the importance of the 4 key elements in cooking: salt, fat, acid, and heat. And she has a show that goes along with that as well, too. If you're into the Marvel universe, like the superhero universe, there are a number of Marvel shows on Netflix. Probably the most popular one is The Punisher. And this stars John Barenthal from the first season of The Walking Dead. And he's a Marine kind of punishing criminals in the Marvel universe. Okay. A couple more here I would point out to you in the sci-fi order. OA, very popular one here, is a couple seasons of this right here. And so, again, you can read the synopsis there. 7 years after vanishing from her home, a young woman returns with mysterious new abilities and recruits 5 strangers for her secret mission. I know a lot of people have talked about this. I haven't seen it yet, but if you've seen it, by all means, please let me know. And then also we have, also in that genre is Altered Carbon. I thought I put that one on my list as well too. Altered Carbon right here. So this one has 1 season so far with another season coming. Again, you can see here 250 years on ice, prisoner returns to life in a new body. So it's kind of a murder mystery. So that's interesting. Also in the kids genre is Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events. So it's got 3 seasons here. What's interesting here is this is in ultra high definition. So if you subscribe to that version of Netflix, it's really cool graphics and stuff. So if you remember, Jim Carrey played Lemony Snicket's in the movie, and here we've got Neil Patrick Harris playing it in the series. My sons and I have been enjoying this one as well too. What else do we have here? Oh, comedy. If you remember the show Arrested Development from Fox years ago, Netflix has brought it back as a Netflix original with Jason Bateman and Will Arnett. So the show is really funny. You can watch their 20-minute sitcom episodes. I really enjoyed this one, and I recommend that to you as well too. And then The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt with what's her name? Ellie Kemper from The Office. If you remember her, the secretary from The Office, she's got a show with 4 seasons. I believe this one has won a couple Emmys. So I'd recommend that to you if you like the comedy aspect as well too. I think we've talked about everything on also The Ranch with Ashton Kutcher is a popular kind of comedy as well too. And did we miss anything else? Oh, Santa Clara Diet. Yes. If you remember, what's his name? Timothy Oliphant from Justified. I believe that was a FX show, in a Western. He's got a totally different role. He and Drew Barrymore are essentially zombies. And so, but it's a comedy perspective. And so you can see what's happening right there. It's also a popular one as well too, Santa Clara Diet. And I think, my friends, we have come to the very end. So I've given you a recap. My most popular shows: Ozark, Narcos, Narcos Mexico, Black Mirror, 13 Reasons Why, The Crown, Bloodline. I forgot to mention The Keepers. This is an interesting one about the murder of a nun, and you got to try to figure out what happened to her. I believe this was set in Baltimore. Yeah, it says Baltimore right there. And so that's an interesting one. Not in my top 10 list, but also a lot of people talk about that one. You also had in the top 10 a Bloodline, Boss Baby, and then you had, of course, Stranger Things. All right, my friends. Well, I appreciate you watching. I hope this video was helpful. If there's a show that I missed that you really like that's a Netflix original, please point it out. And of course, make sure you go to our website, thathelpfuldad.com, where you can get a lot of references and resources that are all free about cord cutting and watching TV online. Thanks for watching, my friends, and have a great day.